So at some point I accidentally stopped the video while I was halfway through the service. So this will probably be a part 2 then. Yeah, so we have our oil filter here. We're just gonna pre-fill a little bit of it. Luckily, because of the position, we can actually get her in there nice and easy without too much trouble. So we have our can here. We've taken our top off. This vehicle we're doing in a 10W90, so 10W is basically the viscosity, how thick it is. W is for winter, so in winter it's about that thick. But the number really you want to look at for is the second one. So the 40, that's probably what you want to go for. That's the normal operating temperature, because it doesn't matter if it's in winter or summer. Once it's heated up and it's an operating temperature, your viscosity is going to be the same. So that's what you want to look for in terms of that. If you know a bit more about oil and you're into racing and things, you probably can play around with this to see which oils give you better performance, because then it does kind of make a difference. When you're pushing 400 or 500 horsepower, you probably want to have that little bit of extra resistance gains of that. So I'm just taking a little seal off. Now you might be tempted to throw it in like this, which is not the correct way. You want to throw it from the top down. So I'm actually going to try move this over here. Try and get a good shot of me doing this. Or I'm going to spill oil all over my car. Probably going to be the latter. So we just want to get a little dip on there. Little bit of oil in there. Just so it starts filling it up the top. And right about there. I'm going to stop right there. Take our oil filter here. Take a little bit of oil there, put this on the seal. That basically gives you a lubricated surface, which means you'll be able to turn it on a lot easier. Sometimes they have little instructions on there. Let's see if this one does. This one does not. It's a straightforward Royco filter. Putting it on there. And we're just going to turn this back on, hand tight. Probably going to be a bit hard to do, so I'll do this quickly. And then I'll pause the video and I'll show you guys how I do that. Alright, so we got her back on there. And we're just going to give her a spin till she catches right about there. And then I'm just going to get that mark off there, because that's going to make it slippery for us. We won't be able to spin her if she's slippery. And then just turn on there. Hand tight as you probably can. Hand tight. Around about there. That's pretty good. It's my weak hand, so let's try the strong hand. And she's on pretty good. Just hand tight, and that's it. That's happy days. Sorry for the bad focus. So yeah, that's gonna stay on there. So then you can take a pen marker and just write the date on there. Make note of the case so you know when that's done. Obviously, don't forget with our plug at the back, you want to tighten this down. Lefty loosey, righty tighty underneath. So it might go the opposite way. So just make sure it's nice and tight. And then we can use that hack again. Going to change this up a little bit here with a little slot. Use a little tool. Hook her on there. And just tiny little nudge. You're not putting a lot of force on this, because this is an aluminium sump. Too much force will break it. So just like a little nudge. Just a little nudge. And that'll give you it. So that's it for the oil change. We're basically done underneath here. So we are now going to put the car back on our wheels, get all the stuff out underneath here, and then fill up the level to our spec. Okay, so that is our oil cap off. Oil filter changed and our oil plug back in. Take off the 710 cap. So running joke 710 oil cap. Put her in there. Put the cap up there so we don't lose it. And then before we do this, you want to wipe out your funnel so you don't have a lot of dirt and debris and things in there. As you guys can see, this is really difficult. Apparently, you've got to pay other people a lot of money to do this, but yeah, I don't get why people pay so much money for this. Like, really, you guys can really do this at home. So for the younger car enthusiasts or the people that just want to get into cars, it's for you guys that we do this, because apparently people don't know how to do this. Okay, getting the engine oil. Now I have a gauge here of where my level's sitting. So I want to hold it on there, give me a level more there. So it takes about 3.6. So we're going to fill to about 2 liters. And then we're going to check it again. So from the top down, filling around me. I don't want to throw it in too quickly. it might get clogged up and then go back. It's actually a bit faster if you do this without the video filming and everything, but I try and keep it as real time as possible so you guys can see like how far it goes, how long it actually takes. Not too much editing in between. And yeah, it's looking at that, so okay. And check our level again. Oh, we haven't even gone a lot, we still got a lot to do. I'm just gonna push it down there. Keep going, keep going. Not going too fast, not going too slow. Letting it run. Don't know if you guys can see much there, just some oil flowing into the engine. Nothing really magnificent about that. Okay, so check our level. I'll put this on a level surface so I can, it's not level. That's about 2.5, so you can do another 0.5 liters. That's about 3 liters in. So we don't put this on top of the engine because it's going to fall off. We put it back down on the ground. Grab our oil rag. Check our dipstick. Clean it off. And then put it back in. And we're going to check our level. So you have 2 dots here. So a dot there and a dot there. And we're just above it, around about there. You guys can see here, which is about there, so which means we're going to put in a little bit more, and we're just going to put in and check and put in and check. Keep in mind this is a small 1.5, so it's probably not going to take as much oil as your LSV8 that you're building, but more or less from about 5 liters of goodness. So just a little tad, stop, check, give it a second because all this like flow down is the engine and all the sump and everything. Check it again. Epitome of measure twice, cut once, because so now we're about halfway between the dots. Put it back in there. Notice how I didn't clean that because I wiped it off. Because when you run the engine, the oil splashes around. It sends all over the dipstick. If you're just topping up and you're checking the oil, you don't need to wipe it off again to check it. And it should be good. Let's have a look. Oh, gotta give it a second to sit there. I'm being too hasty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's have a look what that looks like. And she's just underneath there. Just underneath. You can also look at the other side that gives you indication. So we're right about there. Now this is like run over the end of the dipstick, so we're going to wipe it down. Because we have oil in the wrong place. We don't really know where our level's sitting at. Look here. And as you can see there, she's sitting over there now. Over there, so she still needs a bit more. Check the other side. Yeah, she's running a bit, so give her a bit more. That's all it is, just fill and check, fill and check. I guess round about there feels about right. So after you've done many vehicles, we usually kind of get the feel for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's all messy now. It's round about on the mark there. You guys can see there on the mark there. So we're actually going to do something a little different. I'm just going to double check that to make sure I've got the right quantity. Because we changed the oil filter, but we didn't fill the oil filter. Yeah, so that's pretty much on the money there. We're actually gonna, can this thing focus? It cannot focus on that. But yeah, it's a little over, so we're actually gonna give it a little bit extra. Reason being, the oil filter needs to get filled. So I'm just gonna give it a little bit of a dab. Just enough as I would think would fill an oil filter. That's enough. Put it down. And now, the important part. You fill the oil in. You want to run the engine for about 10 seconds just to get the oil to go through the oil filter and everything. Make sure it's on the correct levels and all of that. Check it again, make sure. Measure twice, cut once. That's perfectly on the ball. She's not over. She's just on the line there. Oh, I wish this thing would just focus. Can I focus there? Yeah, there we go. Just below the line there. And then we'll fold that in there. Take this out in a rag, put back to 710, running for about 10 seconds, I reckon. So let's just show you guys how I do that. Neutral, switch the engine on. That's all there is to it. So that is the oil change done, which I think will finish off our segment here. So we've now run it, so now I want to show you guys how the oil is changed. We're just going to give it a second just to drip down to the bottom of the tray. And just look at that, wiping her off there. Let's see where our oil level is at this stage. Look how far down she dropped. She's all the way down there. That's why it's important to run her for 10 seconds and fill her up again. So we're going to take off 710 again. Get our funnel. Sure we have no debris. Put her back in there. And fill her up. So if you ever need to maybe got some extra oil on hand, you got a 10W40 or a 5W40 and 15W40, it really depends. Normally your turbo engine applications will have smaller or a thinner weights, like 0 or 5 or so, and your naturally aspirated cars will be like a 10 or a 15 or something like that. And the older cars, they're very happy on a 20W40. It's the second number that you want to look out for. That's really the thing you want to check. Or let's just check the oil first. It's just out of habit, you know, like you've done it so many times, you kind of like just get a sixth sense for it. As you guys can see, you know, it really is not something that's difficult. This is actually quite fun. I'm having the time of my life here. And you're seeing there, she's sitting right on the money there. Right on the dot. Camera can't focus, but she's right on the dot there. Let's see if I can get a better shot on this. She's right on the money. Right on the money. There, on the dot. That's where she's sitting at. And that's it, guys. That's all change done. So next thing is going to be our air filter. Pretty much straightforward. Caps done. And then the cabin air filter will be next. So that's it, guys. We're going to put our 710 cap back, and then most importantly clear off the engine from any objects, car keys, boxes, things. Your oil has to be disposed of correctly. We have to keep in mind that we are trying to improve the planet here and keep the world a better place than we found it. So they have to be disposed of. Normally the places you purchase your oil from will be able to advise you any spare shops. So we're based in Australia, so you're looking at Super Cheap Auto. They'll basically be able to at least direct you in the correct way. And then obviously your old oil containers, seal them up. Let's see how much oil there actually. So that was a little over 3.6. That is 4.6 liters. So I must have accidentally read the wrong article. Maybe that's for the 1.4. I think I searched the 1.4 actually. So 1.5. And if you just follow these easy steps, you should be fine. So first things to do, let the car run for about a minute, pull her into the garage, run her on a level surface for about a minute, switch her off, lift the car up into the air. You want to drain the oil first, then remove your oil filter. Once you've done that, fill your oil filter halfway if possible. Sometimes they're from the top down, like with the BMWs, they've got a little cartridge, you got to go from the top down to do that. That's a little different, so you want to put the filter in with O-rings, but that's a topic for another day. With this car, we fill the oil filter about halfway, use some of the new oil, lubricate the seal, not on the sides, hand tighten it all the way, put the plug at the back in, get it nice and firm, and then you don't want to put it in too hard because you might strip the threads. Fill the oil back up to the dipstick, run it for about 10 seconds, and then check your oil level again, and you'll be happy. She'll be happy with you for that. Alright guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and then I'll see you guys on the next one.